physically in this session hall and those who members of the BTA who are in Zoom. Today we have a ceremonial signing of the Bangsamoro Administrative Code to be done by no less than the Honorable Chief Minister and the Speaker of the Parliament. May we begin now, Secretary General.
Before we commence with the ceremonial signing, we would like to inform the members of the Parliament to take this opportunity for the photo ops. For the observance of the health protocol, we actually decided to have a system of the protocols while the Chief Minister and the Speaker signing a batch of 10. A batch of 10 of the members of the Parliament will take the opportunity for having the photo ops. May we request the Sergeant at Arms to facilitate a batch of 10 to observe the social distancing. And we would like also to remind that the batch of 10 should wear their face mask and pass. Batch of 10. Okay, another batch of 10. Thank you very much. Okay, thank you very much. Another batch of 10 for the MPs. Okay, okay, thank you.
Pwede tayo sumali, naka-face mask ako eh.
Okay, next batch. Another batch of 10 for the MPs. Batch of 10. Okay. Please observe social distancing. Social distancing lang po. Thank you very much. Another batch. Okay, another batch. Okay, another batch. Another batch. We would like also to request the Sergeant at Arms to please, join this batch. Sige, sige. Okay. Tayo lang dalawa.
Bangsamoro.
Okay, but minority. Okay, the minority is requesting also for a batch. After this, the secretariat should also prepare for the last photo ops will be for the secretariat.
Di ako rin dun eh.
Anong bill pinirmahan? Admin code?
Okay, another batch, the secretariat. Please come up on the stage.
Admin code, Boss Nabir.
Okay. Thank you, Eddie. Dapat
Siguro
isali
mga dalawang batch. Yung sa atin dito, last batch na siguro. Last tayo. Oh, last, sige.
ano kaya pwede gawin? Sali yung mga nasa Zoom.
Sana tayo rin ang next. Yung sa mga
Ah,
nasa.
naka-face mask tayo.
Pwede.
Naka-face mask ako eh.
Second batch, another batch na lang. Another batch pag hindi tayo.
Tayo sa mga
Next batch na lang.
Jen, sama mo yung nasa Zoom. Last batch. Pwede tayo doon.
Uncle Nabs, kailangan yung Zoom batch naman.
With face mask. Kasi allowed ang
Okay,
attendance.
last batch for yung secretariat na hindi na-accommodate. Okay. Sige. Okay. Okay, paki-arrange lang, Sergeant at Arms.
Yan ang
Okay.
privilege ng physically present.
Sige. Office.
Sa inang kanya doon, admin code. Doon, sir. Sa inang minister yung kuwan.
Okay, last request na lang talaga yung staff ng Office of the Chief Minister and yung office niya sa pagka-parliament member.
Ala, Minister IQ.
Hello.
Para inantok ka. Inantok ka sa dami ng papeles mo sa MBHT.
Okay, thank you very much, Honorable Chief Minister and Honorable Speaker Ali Pangalian Balindo. Maraming pong salamat.
Yung mga sa Zoom.
Hirit ka pa doon. Nirit si Don.
Dapat may paraan, pati yung mga nasa Zoom.
Hindi dapat yung secretariat yung na-upgrade na yung nila kasi hindi masyado clear tayo doon sa plenary hall. Dapat may mga additional equipment na doon.
Oo nga, Uncle Nabs, lalo na kasama natin si ES Bapasami. Kailangan kasama sa dito sa Zoom.
Nasa Zoom?
Huwag ka na lang mag-interesado dyan, Brother Neville.
Bakit yan nasa
Palawi.
Zoom? Nandun ang Chief
Palawi.
Minister. Chief of Staff.
Palawi-lawi ka lang yan. Di.
Chief of Staff. Ayaw mo ma-COVID, ha? Layo yung COVID.
Hindi na rin, kasi while waiting, nagtatrabaho ako dito.
Ganon. Tama yan.
Marami kong papel dito. Maraming
Oo nga.
papers na
Mukhang
papel.
may mga appointment ka na sa provinces, ha? Nalaman ko kay Joe. Thank you, ha? Thank you. Meron ka ng enroll roon.
Meron na.
Pananagutin ko yun. Dalawang most qualified yun, dalawang kurso, civil engineer at saka genetics. Saka may experience na rin.
Government Guard are requested to please come up the stage for the photo ops with the Chief Minister and the Speaker.
Sa ES office ka kakasami?
Ako,
Ka sa...
nandito ako.
Ready ako sumali, oh. Naka-face mask ako, eh.
Ito ang face mask. Tingnan mo.
Mas maganda yan. Mas mahal siguro yan.
Yeah. Mag-face mask tayo para sigurado.
Oo nga. Pero yung
Pero-
sa'yo, organic yata yung sa'yo, Organic material ginamit ng agriculture, Ayan, si MP Muñoz, Minister Muñoz, MPOC.
May I request the Honorable MP
Yes, IQ.
Sheikh Ibrahim Ali to lead the invocation.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم آمين يا رب العالمين الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين اللهم أصلح لنا ديننا الذي هو عصمة أمرنا وأصلح لنا دنيانا التي فيها معاشنا وأصلح لنا آخرتنا التي لا معدنا يا الله اللهم وفقنا الله لما تحب وترضى اللهم بلغ مرنا يا الله اللهم ربنا أفرغ علينا الصبر وثبت أقدامنا وانصرنا على القوم الكافرين اللهم ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار صلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين والحمد لله رب العالمين.
Please remain standing for the singing of the national anthem to be followed by the Bangsamoro hymn.
Kababayan, ang pambansang awit ng Pilipinas.
Kayang magiliw, telas ang sinakanan, alam ng puso, sa titik mo'y buhay. Lupang hinirang, kuya ka ng magiting, sa manlulupin, di ka pasisikin, sa nagatang tutok sa simoy at sa langit mo pagaw, ay hinatang tulakaw.
General is directed to call the roll. May I request the Honorable Joe Lorena to start.
Present.
The Honorables Abbas Ahmad,
Present.
Abbas Harold, Abbas Dulkarnain,
Present.
Abbas Basit Sari, Abu Mujib, Adyong Jalur Rahman Alonso, Ahang Abdullah, Alamia Laisa,
Present.
Alauddin Faiz, Ali Ibrahim, Ali Lanang Jr., Ali Edi Mapag,
Present.
Alil Cesar, Ambuluto Suarto, Ampatuan Baitan, Anayatin Susana, Asmawel Muslima, Balindong Aling Pangalit, Bara Hamid Aminuddin,
Present.
Basman Anna Tarhata, Bato Muhammad Zainuddin,
Present.
Brahan Abraham,
Present.
Kandao Bay Maleha,
Present.
Dandamon Lapit Maysara,
Present.
Diamla Musa, Dipatuan Safrullah,
Present.
Rahim Ahod, Ismail Haji Abdul Aziz,
Present.
Hayak Abdullah,
Present.
Gera Edward, Asim Abdullah,
Present.
Hasan Hatimil, Iqbal Muagher, Ismail Rasul,
Present.
Jajuri Raisa, Jakilan Muslimin, Karon Bainon, Lidasan Mussolini, Loong Don Mustafa,
Present.
Lorena Jose Iribani, Makako Abdurrauf,
Present.
Makapar Abdullah, Makaraya Jamil, Makasalo Marjani, Manguda Dato Kadafe, Mantawil Malik,
Present.
Mastura Dato Tokaw, Mastura Siti Shahara,
Present.
Mawalil Amil Bahar, Midtimbang Dato Midpantaw, Mitmog Rasul,
Present po.
Mujahid Abdul Muhmin,
Presence po.
Munoz Hussein,
Present.
Oranon Suait, Pakasam Ubaida, Pak Abdul Wahab, Pangandaman Nabila Margarita, Ramos Jamila, Rimbang Edresa Nazer, Zakar Modayaw,
Present.
Zahrin Abdul, Dalendad Said, Sali Al-Shaid, Saliga Romeo, Salik Ali, Sanki Ali, Sani Punduma,
Present.
Satar Alzad,
Present po.
Sema Omar Yasser, Sema Romeo, Sheikh Said,
Present. Assalamualaikum.
Silongan Aida, Sulaiman Ali, Tago Paisalin, Tan Nabil,
Present. Assalamualaikum.
Ujah Sahi, Ulama Melanio, Usman Azfar, Jacob Muhammad, UAK Narciso.
Mr. Speaker, on the basis of the roll call, out of the 80 members of the Bangsamoro Transition Authority Parliament, 24 physically responded to the call and 39 responded through Zoom. Mr. Speaker, we have a total of 63 attendees, both physical and virtual. We therefore certify, Mr. Speaker, that there is presence of quorum. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
So let us proceed. Majority Leader.
Yes, Mr. Speaker. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. To Honorable Speaker Ali Pangilinan Balindong, to the presiding officer, to the members of the Bangsamoro Transition Authority who are present in this session hall, and those who are in the Zoom. Friends, visitors, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We are on, Mr. Speaker, we are session number 44. We proceed to item number 6, reading and approval of journal of the previous session. Journal number 30, I believe members of the parliament are physically present as well as those who are on Zoom are able to secure the copy of this journal number 30. So therefore, Mr. Speaker, I move to dispense the reading of the journal of the previous session, and I further move for the approval of the same, Mr. Speaker.
There is a motion to dispense with the reading, considering that members of the Parliament have already copies of the said journal, and at the same time a motion to approve the same. Do I hear any second?
Good.
Second.
I hear any objection? Hearing none, the same is approved, and it is also adopted.
Yes.
Majority Leader.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, we proceed to item number 7, resolutions. May we request the Secretary General to read the first proposed resolution, number 32, the title and the authors. Mr. Speaker.
The Secretary General is directed to read Resolution 330.
Mr. Speaker, proposed resolution number 312.
312, sorry.
312 is entitled, Resolution strongly condemning the rape slay of a minor girl child in Cabacan, North Cotabato, and dutifully urging the Cabacan Municipal Police Station to promptly and efficiently investigate the case. Authored by Honorable MP Bainon Caron, co-authored by Honorable MP Attorney Maysara Dandamon Lathi. Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, may we request also the Secretary General to read the next proposed resolution, considering that they are the same subject matter, Mr. Speaker.
The Secretary General is also directed to read the subsequent resolution.
Yes, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, on proposed resolution number 318 is entitled, Resolution strongly condemning the rape slay of the 16-year-old Rasmia Kamawit from Barangay Malandoki, Cabacan, Cotabato, and earnestly requesting the Philippine National Police, the National Bureau of Investigation, and the Commission on Human Rights to fast-track the conduct of their investigation thereon so that the perpetrators of the dastardly act can be brought to justice. Authored by Honorable MP Aida M. Silungan. Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, I move that both two resolutions be treated as simple resolution and be transferred to the business board of the Mr. Speaker.
Do I hear any objection to that? Hearing none, then it is considered a simple resolution and transferred to the order of business. Proceed, Majority Leader.
Yes. Mr. Speaker, we proceed to propose resolution number 325. May we request the Secretary General to read the title, the author.
Secretary General is directed to do as requested by the Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, proposed resolution number 325 is entitled Resolution Expressing the Profound Condolence of the Bangsamoro Transition Authority on the demise of Yusuf Jikiri, Chairman of the Moro National Liberation Front, authored by Honorable MP Punduma Sani. Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, may we request the Secretary General to read the proposed resolution, the subsequent resolution 326, 327, 333, and 335, considering that they are the same subject matter. Mr.
The
Speaker.
Secretary General is again directed to read the resolution as mentioned by the Majority.
Mr. Speaker.
Yes, MP Omar Sema.
MP Omar Sema is
Mr. Speaker.
recognized.
I have been reviewing the order of business for today, and I see 1, 2, 3,
Resolution.
4, 5 resolutions pertaining to the same subject matter.
Yes.
I move that these 5 resolutions be consolidated,
Yes, Mr. Speaker.
and to dispense with the reading of the other resolutions, because
Yes.
it is clear that they are
Almost the same.
of the same subject matter.
There is a motion from MP Sema to dispense with the reading of the other subsequent resolution pertaining to the same subject matter,
Yes.
and that the same be consolidated. Do I hear any second? It's seconded. Do I hear any objection?
Second.
There is second. Hearing no objection, the same is approved and adopted. So we will direct the Majority Leader to manifest whether the
Yes, Mr.
consolidation
Speaker,
has
I
been
move
done.
that these proposed resolutions be treated as simple resolution and be transferred to the business board. Mr. Speaker.
Okay, all the resolutions as mentioned pertaining to the demise of Yusuf Jikiri, Chairman of the MNLF, is transferred to the order of business, subject to the consolidation as requested, as moved by MP Omar Sema.
Yes,
Majority
Mr.
Leader.
Speaker, we proceed to propose resolution number 6, proposed resolution number 328, and proposed resolution number 330. Mr. Speaker, may we request the Secretary to read the title and the author.
The Secretary General is directed to read Resolution 328 and Resolution 330.
Mr. Speaker, on proposed resolution number 328 is entitled A Resolution Respectfully Requesting the Armed Forces of the Philippines, AFP, to exercise utmost caution and prudence in issuing statements, especially on the institution of the Madaris, which might further alienate the Muslims in the Philippines to deleterious perceptions. This proposed resolution is being authored by Honorable MP Attorney Paisalin Tago, co-authors follows Honorable MP Alzad Satar, Honorable MP Omar Yasir Sema, Honorable MP Abraham Burhan, Honorable MP Nabil Eitan, Honorable MP Kadafi Mangudadato, Honorable MP Ana Tarhata Basman, Honorable MP Attorney Lorena, Honorable MP Bay Maleha Kandao, Honorable MP Ziaur Rahman Alonpo Adjong, and Honorable MP EDM Ali. Mr. Speaker, on proposed resolution number 330 is entitled Resolution Calling the Armed Forces of the Philippines Chief of Staff, General Gilbert Gapay, back his statement and clear the image of madrasa as institutions of radicalization. Authored by Honorable MP Abdul Muhmin Mujahid. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, I move that these 2 proposed resolutions be transferred to the business board today and be treated as simple resolutions.
There is a motion to treat the resolution, a simple resolution, and move to the order of business of the day. May I hear any second?
Second.
Do I hear any objection? Hearing none, the same is now part of the order of business.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, may we request the Secretary General to read the proposed resolution number 332.
The Secretary General is directed to read Resolution 332.
Mr. Speaker, on proposed resolution number 332 is entitled Resolution Urging the House of Representatives and the Senate of the Philippines to extend the BARMM transition period to June 30, 2025 to afford the Bangsamoro Transition Authority sufficient period to fulfill its mandate. Authored by Honorable MP Jose Iribani Lorena, Honorable MP Hatimil Hasan, Honorable MP Idi Mapag Adi, Honorable MP Abdul Muhmin Mujahid, and Honorable MP Muslimin Jakilan, with co-authors, Speaker, Honorable MP Maysara Dandamon Latif, Honorable MP Bainon Karun, Honorable MP Aida Silungan, Honorable MP Abdullah Ahang, Honorable MP Kadafi Mangudadato, Honorable MP Faiz Alaud, Honorable MP Jamila Ramos, Honorable MP Punduma Sani, Honorable MP Muslima Asmawi, and Honorable MP Tahi Puja. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, I move that this proposed resolution number 332 be treated as simple resolution and be transferred to the business for the day, Mr. Speaker.
There is a move on the part of the majority leader to treat this as simple resolution and transfer this to the order of business of the day. Do I hear any second?
Second.
Has been seconded. Do I hear any objection? Hearing none, the same is transferred to the order of business and treated as simple resolution.
Mr. Speaker, Majority Floor Leader.
Yes.
MP Omar Sema is
This will be treated as simple resolution.
Yes, Mr. Speaker.
There
We
will be no
discuss
more
it.
extensive discussion in this
Yes, we have to
resolution.
yes. We have discussion.
There will
I
be
submit.
discussion.
There will be discussion.
MP Nabiltan is recognized. Proceed.
Did I hear it correctly that there will be no more discussion once it's considered as business for the day?
No, Mr. Speaker, there will be extensively discussion of this.
Thank
As
you.
clarified, there will be still a discussion on the matter.
Misfired. Okay, thank you, thank you.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, we proceed to the, I think, we proceed to the order of business for the day, Mr. Speaker. The first item number 12, business for the day.
Okay.
The first two proposed resolution, this is related to the rape victim of Kabakan. May we request the authors of these two proposed resolution to defend this proposed resolution. MP Aida Silungan.
MP first, I will recognize MP Aida Silungan, then to be followed by MP Bainon Karan. MP Silungan is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, I move to open the period of debate and interpellation on this proposed resolution, Mr. Speaker.
We will allow the sponsor to state the premises of this resolution and then proceed with the debate. Thank you, MP Silungan. You can proceed.
Yeah, thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, Majority Floor Leader. Ang resolution po na to ay napakasakit po sa amin na mga ina na ang ating mga anak ay magkaroon ng ganitong karanasan. So nararapat lamang po na aksyonan po natin ito, lalo pat ito ay nangyari sa mga kapatid natin na outside sa BARM territory, para naman po hindi nila maisip na nakalimutan na natin sila. So pinopost ko po sa ating mga kasama na maaksyonan po ito agad sa lalong madaling panahon dahil ilang buwan na po ang dumaan at Wala man lang tayong naririnig ni hi ni ho sa mga kinauukulan kung ano nang nangyari sa pangyayaring ito sa pag-rape ng isang batang babae na wala na po siyang nanay. Ang nag-aalaga lang po sa kanya ay kanyang lola. So, yun lang po, Mr. Speaker. Maraming salamat.
Thank you. Before we go to the debate, we will allow, I think the two resolutions are almost the same.
Yes, Mr. Speaker.
We will allow MP Bainon Caron to state the premises of the first resolution. MP Bainon Caron is recognized.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. So, being a mother, katulad din ng sinabi ni MP Aida Silungan, masakit para sa amin mga ina ang mawalan ng anak ng ganun-ganun na lang. But I would like to read this statement. The state ensures that all women shall be protected from all forms of violence. Agencies of government shall give priority to the defense and protection of women against gender-based offenses and help women attain justice and healing. The Bangsamoro government upholds and protects the fundamental rights of women to protect them from exploitation, abuse, or discrimination, as embodied in the Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women. Now, eliminating violence against women and girls is pivotal in achieving gender justice and women empowerment. Whereas the Bangsamoro government must provide assistance to the Bangsamoro communities outside BARM, ensuring protection of their rights as well as enhancing their economic and social and cultural development. So with this, on September 14, 2020, a body of a 14-year-old Moro girl was found in the river of Barangay Mananduagi, Camaganod, Cotabato, a Bangsamoro community outside BARM. Now, in an information obtained from the father or the girl, she went out of their house by 9 a.m. of September 13, purposely to gather the fireworks from the riverside for cooking as the family is living in poverty. And that the girl was staying with her grandparents, who are quite old to do most of the household chores, that she did not come home on that day. So her father and relatives searched for her. So based on the reports, the girl was raped before she was killed by unknown assailants. And this act makes a mockery of the Bangsamoro government's advocacy and efforts to ensure the promotion of the rights of women and girls and the protection from violence and abuses. So it is an insult to the Bangsamoro government that is determined to provide safe and secure communities for its people. So ito po yung dahilan na mandated po ang Bangsamoro government to protect and uphold the rights of our constituents. So yun po.
Thank you, MP Bainon Caron. Majority Leader, do we have this?
Yes, do we have members? Or yes, MP, ladies first, MP Baintan, Patuan, MP James Bacaraya, MP Paisalin Tago.
MP Baintan Patuan is recognized to be followed by MP James Macaraya and MP Paisalin Tago. In that order.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, Majority Floor Leader.
As a mother of also two children, two girls, I am with the proponents with these two resolutions, both condemning the act as stipulated in the two resolutions. But however, if the proponents will yield to some questions, Mr. Speaker.
MP Aida Silongan and MP Bainon Karon, do you yield to some questions as requested?
Yes.
Any one of you can answer the question.
Mr. Speaker, on the resolution 312, on the prayer close, states that it is resolved, as it is hereby resolved, to strongly condemn the rape slay of the 14-year-old girl in Cabacan, North Cotabato, and dutifully urging the Cabacan Municipal Police Station to promptly and efficiently investigate the case. My question, Mr. Speaker, isn't it a standard operating procedure for any police or authorities to conduct an investigation pertaining to any cases, especially so that it involves a young woman, and the case is part of those unwanted cases, which is rape. Was there an investigation conducted that as part of the initiatives of the Bangsamoro Women Commission? Was there a coordination, and were you briefed of the status of investigation? Because as far as I know, it's a standard operating procedure.
MP Bainon Karon, do you have a response to that?
Well, I think our responsible person in the Bangsamoro government already their investigation is ongoing as regards to the, especially as regards to the massacre and including this rape case.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, because I want to appreciate the case because it happened almost I think 2 months ago. 2 months ago, or more than 2 months now, and by now I want to know from the proponent if there were actions taken by the proponent as far as looking at the particular case and in helping the family of the rape victim.
Yes. Our team have talked to the responsible PNP, and I think but then the responsibility is more on the I think on the Human Rights Commission.
Mr. Speaker, uli na lang pong katanungan ko. Ang uling katanungan ko po, Mr. Speaker, dahil magkaiba po yung prayer ng dalawang resolutions, at yung isa ay just calling for an investigation, which to me is just is part of an standard operating procedures. Yung isa ay medyo mas malawak. Ang katanungan ko na lang po ay yung bang investigation na hinihingi nitong unang resolution ay sa palagay ninyo sa pagkakataong ito ay meron ng resulta? Kasi kung meron na pong resulta, Mr. Speaker, we might as well go to the next resolution, which calls for other broader actions that needs to be done by other institutions like the human rights, the PNP, and the NBI.
MP Caron, do you have a...
Sa ngayon po, actually, nung nagkausap kami ni ES Makakua, according to him, ongoing yung investigation at hindi natin minamadali dahil may mga proseso. So,
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. And therefore, in due time, during the period of amendments, I would push for the other prayer, which is found in the other resolution that calls for broader actions against the rape slave. Thank you very much,
Thank
Mr.
you. You can
Speaker.
submit during the period of amendment to propose amendment. MP Macaraya is recognized.
Sukran. Wassalamualaikum.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Mr. Majority Floor Leader. This case must be given serious attention. As explained by the author, I think there is no clear investigation or formal investigation conducted by the side of the Bangsamoro government. If I may propose, Mr. Speaker, that we create a fact-finding team to investigate this case. And Mr. Speaker, if I may request from the authors of the two resolutions to include my name as a co-author of this resolution. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Secretary General, note the manifestation of MP Macaraya. MP Paisalintago is next in the order. Those who will interpolate. You are now recognized.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. First of all, I join the sorrow that was experienced by the families of the victims regarding the incident. Because as a father, I can feel the difficulty that they have experienced. Mr. Speaker, if the two principal authors are willing to answer some query, because the two resolutions, although the same subject matters, but different moods. The one resolution refers for the investigation by the municipal office in Kabakan, and the other resolution which expresses or proposes or urging the investigation to be conducted by the national government agencies, which is the Philippine National Police, Commission on Human Rights, and the National Bureau of Investigation. Now, my query, Mr. Speaker, if the two principal authors are willing to answer, ito pong pangyayaring ito ay nangyari noong September 13, 2020. Ang ibig sabihin, sumubra na po ng 2 buwan ang pangyayari na ito. Today is November 17, that is more than 2 months na. Ang katanungan ko po, Mr. Speaker, sa mga principal authors, ano po ang nangyayari sa investigation? May investigation ba? Kung may investigation, ano po nangyayari sa investigation? Katanungan ko, kung may investigation sa municipal level, kung may investigation sa Philippine National Police National, kung may investigation sa Commission on Human Rights National na nangyari, o kung may investigation na nangyari sa National Bureau of Investigation. Kung wala pa, it is but proper, Mr. Speaker, na kailangan ma-approve natin kagad ang resolution na ito. So, pakisagot po sa mga principal authors kung may nangyayaring investigation at anong resulta.
MP Bayanon Caron and MP Siluman, you may answer the clarification asked.
Ay hindi daw pasok sa 5 element o 5 area na yung 5
Just a minute. Actually, ang nag-investigate are Kabakan policemen, and sinasabi nila na lahat ng sinasabi nila na hanggang ngayon ay walang na-file na kaso dahil lahat ng tinuturong suspect ay hindi pasok sa time element. So yun po yung sabi ng PNP.
Yung mga suspect ay
hindi daw pasok sa time element nung nangyaring crime.
time element?
Oo.
Anong connection dun sa Mr. Speaker sa time element suspect?
MP Bayanon Caron or MP Silungan?
Mr. Speaker, kasi dalawa silang principal sponsor, pero sa pagkaintindi ko doon sa sinabi ng other sponsors, kasi isang resolution niya yung sa investigation sa municipal office ng Kabakan. Pagkaintindi ko doon, walang na-file na kaso. Yan, mayroong crime. Sa atin sa batas, kung baga sa kwal, mayroon corpus delicti. There is already a body of the crime. Nakita yung may crime. Maski walang complainant, kailangan may police blotter yan. May police report yan. Pag may police blotter as may police report, necessarily may kaso yan. Kung hindi mag-file ng kaso ang mga offended party, yan ang pagkalang ko sa batas, Mr. Speaker. Ang mga offended party, ang police, being the protector of the citizens of the Republic of the Philippines, sila ang magpa-file ng kaso. Kasi may blotter yan. Pag may blotter sila, magpa-file ng kaso. Not necessarily mag-file yung offended party, Mr. Speaker. Yun ang pakaintindi ko dyan. So, dapat, Mr. Speaker, if I'm getting it right, dapat masusing mabantayan nito ng Bangsamoro Autonomous Region Muslim Mindanao Government dahil ito ay baka magmalabis na mangyari sa mga ibang kababayan natin na mga Bangsamoro, Mr. Speaker. So, kaya nga tinatanong ko anong ginagawa, anong nangyari sa investigation, dapat may mangyari sa investigation, Mr. Speaker. So that is my suggestion, Mr. Speaker, and dahil walang nangyari investigation man o findings, Mr. Speaker, this resolution baka mag-trigger ng mag-conduct ng malawakang investigation sa kaso na ito. So I am proposing, Mr. Speaker, kasi hindi pa tapos ang interpellation ng debate, and proposing, Mr. Speaker, that we must approve this as soon as possible, itong resolution na ito, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Thank you, MP Tago, for that. Majority Leader, do we hear from those in the Zoom who may want to...
Before we recognize the Zoom, Mr. Speaker, may we respectfully recognize MP Toy Mangudadatos.
MP Toy Mangudadatos.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, members of the Parliament, my take on these two proposed resolutions, Mr. Speaker. This proposed resolution, dapat sana ni-refer natin ito sa committee. This is my take to these two proposed resolutions, Mr. Speaker. Why? Ang title po ng isang resolution is to conduct an investigation. The other one is condemning the rape slay case of a certain Moro lady. Mr. Speaker, if we are going to treat this as simple resolution, my point, Mr. Speaker, for me, why do we need to refer this to the proper committee so that the barn government or the proper committee could make a deeper investigation as to the rape slay case is concerned. Mr. Speaker, ang tanong ko, if we are going to approve this as and be treated as simple resolution, ano po ang follow-through natin? Ano po ang follow-up investigations natin? I do also agree with the observation of MP Tago, Mr. Speaker. A mere police blatter, hindi ka natin alam kung saan tayo mag-uumpisa kung meron pong police blatter sa incident. One, Mr. Speaker. Second, Mr. Speaker, if we are going to refer this to the proper committees, from there, Mr. Speaker, maybe perhaps we can strengthen, Mr. Speaker, the essence of these two proposed resolutions, and we can bring justice to the rape slay case of a certain Moro leader. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. With all due respect, Captain Infestation questioning the treatment of this resolution as simple should have been raised at that time when there was this motion to refer to the order of business and a motion to, but nonetheless, to proceed with this resolution, there is a way. This resolution will have to be forwarded to the appropriate agencies. And in a cover to this resolution, we can ask the status of the case pending with respect to the Kabakan incident, because the resolution is an expression of a sense. The first resolution is strongly condemning. We express the condemnation. And the second resolution is a follow-through to conduct an investigation. Simply, if in the period of amendment, we can consolidate the two and state categorically the steps for which the Parliament will take cognizance of the case. One, the sense of condemnation from the Parliament that should trigger an investigation, and that can be lumped in one resolution. And while admittedly, if that motion of yours was raised in the period when we were in the order of business, I would have deferred the treatment of this into a simple resolution. But nonetheless, I cannot go back. We will be in an international football after referring to the order of business, and it has been adopted. We will be going back. With all due respect, I will just look for a way where we can have the consolidation of the two resolutions, with the sense and the investigation can be captured in one resolution. Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker.
Yes, MP. Majority Leader.
Yes, maybe continue with the MP.
MP Mangodato, you are still recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As what I have stated, my take on the matter, for me, Mr. Speaker, I'm speaking for the way I take on the matter, Mr. Speaker, that this two proposed resolution must be consolidated and be referred to the proper committee. I do not mean or intend to argue with the presiding officer as well as the majority floor leader, Mr. Speaker. But my point is just a matter of manifestation, just for the record, Mr. Speaker, again, to strengthen the essence of these two proposed resolutions. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, and I think we will go into that when we consolidate the two resolutions.
Mr. Speaker.
MP Zia. Majority Chair, whom are you recognizing?
I'm referring to MP Zia.
MP Zia John is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I think the observation of MP Tago and the presiding officer are in the right track. The purpose of these resolutions earlier treated as a simple resolution is because they simply express sentiments, expression of expression of or expressing the urgency in this particular matter, the authorities to act on this, the start the act. Mr. Speaker, if I do, with due respect to my colleague, if we continue the discussion of these resolutions and pass it over to the proper committee, it would definitely forfeit the purpose of this resolution, which it seeks an immediate investigation of these cases. Now, why are we treating this as a simple resolution? Because it will not change or alter any policy. It merely prods or requests or even seek assistance from the PNP, from the NBI, and other authorities involved in this crime to facilitate and fast track and expedite the investigation so that justice may be given to the victim and to the victim's family. And that is precisely the very intention of this resolution. So if there are no other interpellations, Mr. Speaker, I hope that every one of us will join the ladies who sponsor this resolution and express our disgust on crimes that are being perpetrated against our fellow Bangsamoro outside of this region. So, Mr. Speaker, with due respect to the other colleagues, I would like to move that we proceed to the amendment so that we can consolidate these resolutions without prejudice, of course, to those members of this parliament who wish to express their own sentiments or manifestations on this matter, Mr. Speaker.
There is a motion from MP Sia Jung.
Mr.
Before that, do I hear any is that an objection?
No, this deals with the same subject matter. I will also move for its consolidation, Mr.
MP Omar Sema is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, I think the Parliament has just merely wants to express its sense on this matter, and there is no need for further debates. We are just asking the proper authorities to do their job. The matter. On that note, Mr. Speaker, I join the honorable gentleman from Lanao del Sur in his motion to close the debate, and I move for the period of amendments, Mr. Chair. And also, I further move that the two resolutions be consolidated into one resolution, and thereafter I move that these resolutions be approved subject to style.
There is now a motion to terminate the period of debate on this resolution, that we can now proceed to the period of amendment unless there is, I think there are two gentlemen already proposed for the, or move for the transfer to the closure of the period of debate. Do I hear a second? Do I hear any objection? Hearing none, the period of debate is terminated with respect to this resolution. Majority Leader.
Let's proceed to the period of amendment. MP Omar Sema.
Mr. Speaker, I think I will just move, Mr. Speaker, that these two resolutions be consolidated and approved subject to style, Mr. Speaker.
There is a motion from MP Sema that while we are in the period of amendment, that these two resolutions be consolidated and subject to style. Am I correct?
Move for its approval, Mr. Chair.
And move for the approval. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Do I hear any objection? These two resolution which will be consolidated and will be looked into subject to style is hereby approved.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, we proceed to the consolidated proposed resolution 325, 326, 327, 333, and 335. May we request all the authors of this proposed resolution be...
The first sponsor?
Yes. This is about the demise of the late chairman of the Morris National Liberation Front, Yusuf Kikiri. May we...
Omar, you going to recognize first?
Yes, MP Paisalin Tago to be followed by MP Amir Mawali and MP Omar Sema.
MP Paisalin Tago, Amir Mawali, and Omar Sema in that order will be recognized. So MP Tago is recognized for the moment.
proposed resolution that we come with the names, the name of is it's a matter that you need to continue. We didn't pass this resolution in Bangsamoro Parliament, Mr. Speaker, because of the contribution of Chairman Yusuf Tikere for the aspiration of the Bangsamoro people for self-determination. Autonomous region in Muslim Mindanao and Bangsamoro Autonomous region in Muslim Mindanao are now frustrated or was established because of the sacrifices of the Mujahideen, among which is taking the one who is standing today. And Yusuf Tikere is one of the pillars of the Moro national religion that the people the Moro of the MNLF. Having said that, Mr. Speaker, it is but necessary that this Bangsamoro Parliament, the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region in Muslim Mindanao, should accord respect, dignity, and recognition to the sacrifices made by former congressman, former governor, former chairman of the MNLF, Yusuf Tikere, to the aspirations of our people, the Mujahideen, for self-determination for the Bangsamoro people. Yun lang po, Mr. Speaker, because ang resolution na ito nakalagay na doon kung ano ang natapos ni Yusuf Tikere sa kanyang pinaglalaban para sa kabutihan ng Bangsamoro people. Yun lang, Mr. Speaker, and I urge my colleagues in this Parliament to immediately approve the proposed resolution dahil matagal na po ito namatay si Yusuf Tikere noong October 17, more than almost 1 month na pala. So 30 days na. So I am soliciting the help of my colleagues for the immediate passage of this proposed resolution.
Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Speaker.
Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move to approve the resolution as a very timely honor and befitting a freedom fighter who has dedicated his life to the cause of the Bangsamoro people as chairman of the MNLF. As politician, I have known him. I have known him also as a man of peace. So I move to approve the resolution without further ado, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
Mr. Speaker, before approval, Mr. Speaker.
Second.
Mr. Speaker, before approval.
MP Omar Sema, please.
I do not oppose the motion. I will just make a request that the 5 resolutions dated into one resolution, and I move that the task be given to MP Amir for consolidation, Mr. Speaker.
Second. Mr. Speaker.
Subject to style, Mr. Speaker.
The motion of MP Nabil Tan to approve and the manifestation of Omar Sema, which is also a motion to approve, subject to consolidation in style.
By MP Amir Mawalil.
By MP Amir Mawalil. MP Tan, would you accept to the motion co-manifestation of Omar Sema?
Give me time to think. Yes, willingly, Mr. Speaker.
That is the case. There is a motion to approve the 3 resolutions subject to consolidation in style. I hear a second.
Mr. Speaker, before approval, Mr. Speaker, just to signify, Mr. Speaker, to my co-authorship.
Second.
Mr. Speaker,
Authorship daw.
co-authorship.
Before we go to that approval, I will recognize MP Mujahid to state his position. MP Mujahid, you are recognized.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Speaker. I just want to signify, Mr. Speaker, my co-authorship to that said resolution, Mr. Speaker. That's all.
Thank you, MP Mujahid. Secretary General, take note. So I go back. The motion to approve the three resolution duly seconded to any objection. Hearing none, same is
Subject to
approved.
consolidation, Mr. Speaker.
Consolidation in style. Okay. Approve.
Yes, but before we proceed, Mr. Speaker, may we respectfully recognize MP Toy Mangunagat.
MP Toy Mangungudato is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this inquiry is directed to the Secretary General as well as the Sergeant at Arms of the Bangsamoro Parliament. Mr. Speaker, after all those respect to the demise of our senior leaders of the two fronts, to name the seniors, to name a few, especially the late Vice Chairman Gajali Jafar, as well as the recent demise of the Yusuf Jikiri. Mr. Speaker, I would like to know from the Secretary General as well as the Secretariat or whoever is the proper department for the task. Ano ho ba ang ginawa nila? Did they observe also the half-mast giving respect to the demise of all those senior members of the front? Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Secretary General. If you know, can you answer that query? If you know.
Yes, Mr. Yes, Mike. Hello, Mike. Hello, Mike. Hello, Mike. Test. Hello. Okay. Mr. Speaker, in as much as the query of the Honorable MP Mangunagat, if I remember it right, since we assume the BTA, Bangsamoro Transition Authority, I remember that there are past resolutions as well, past resolution and approved resolutions of the BTA Parliament expressing such feelings of condolences to the deceased members of the members of the organization, in as much as the MILF, in the persons of Gajali Jafar, and that of other officers of the MILF as well. I remember it right. So I believe on records, we have these approved resolutions expressing such sentiments as well for the late deceased members of the front, and as well as condolences to the family of the grave members who passed away. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker,
proceed.
My point, Mr. Speaker, is not only a mere passage of the resolutions extending condolences to the deceased of those senior members of the front. My point, Mr. Speaker, is the way we observe giving respect aside from passing as a resolution. Kasi sa pagkakaalam ko, Mr. Speaker, pagbibigay-pugay, isa po dyan is yung pagbibigay-pugay sa ating mga seniors, lalong-lalo na po miyembro ng parliament at nire-respeto ng Bangsamoro leaders. Yung pagbaba po ng bandila ng Bangsamoro Autonomous Region ng Muslim Mindanao, bandila po ng Pilipinas sapagkat tayo po lahat ay kasapi at kasama na po sa gobyerno ng Republika ng Pilipinas. That is my point, Mr. Speaker.
So, Secretary, I think he was referring to the flag being put in half mast symbolism of the recognition of all our senior leaders. Have we done that in the past? I think, is that correct, MP?
Yes, that's right, Mr. Speaker.
So have we done that?
Mr. Speaker, every morning in the working days, I've been passing in the front of our flagpole. I see and I observe that the flag is being lower in our flag, especially the death of former chairman of the MLF, Yusuf Chikiri.
So are you satisfied, MP?
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Secretary General.
Thank you. Majority Leader.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, we suspend the session for 15 minutes.
For 15 minutes.
Yes.
Suspended for 15 minutes. Yes. let not agreements signed be violated many times. So again, that is the context of this resolution, and I move. I know there might be some question. I am ready for that, but considering the urgency of this resolution, because Congress may be shaping, I move that while there is still, I understand the period of debate, and we are ready some clarificatory question, but even now, I move for the approval for the treatment of this resolution, a simple resolution. This has already been done, and for the approval of the said resolution without further discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, MP
Mr.
Jolo.
Speaker,
Mr. Speaker,
Mr. Speaker,
What's the
Uh,
pleasure?
there
What's the
is
pleasure
a-
of the gentleman from Sulu, MP Nabiltan?
Mr.
may
Speaker,
nasa period na po ba tayo ng interpellation or pwede na pumasok?
We still have to open the period of interpellation and debate.
Yes.
So I reserve my right sa period of interpellation, but I will object to the immediate approval of this resolution. Not because I don't favor the resolution, but I need to be clarified on the basis of the resolution. Thank you very much.
Mr.
Acknowledge
Speaker,
the gentleman from Sulu.
Mr. Speaker,
We now open the period.
Mr. Speaker,
Mr. Speaker,
MP Nabiltan is recognized, after him MP Omar Omar Sema. MP Tan, you may proceed.
With all due respect to my best friend forever, MP, the learned MP Joe Lorena, may I be allowed, may the honorable gentleman yield to some clarificatory question?
Willingly, especially to my BFF.
Mr. Speaker, do you remember, can you recall the deliberation in Congress where we requested for a longer transition, longer than 3 years?
I remember, yes, under a condition.
And what was the reason why it was limited to 3 years?
The
Could you
reason
remember?
why, because we cannot provide in a law for a term, more than a term, in the law. But
Okay.
we are now asking an extension. There is always a caveat which says that the condition prevalent at the time may change the object of the law. That is what we call in law shepherdizing the law, putting the context of the law at the time of the implementation.
So there is an adjustment. It also refers to the principle of pacta sunt rebus sextantibus. Anyway, for my next question, may I be clarified why the year 2025? What is the basis?
The basis is because of the synchronization of elections. The provision under the election is the synchronization. That is why they say it has to be synchronized with the national elections. That is the cost.
And my next question is, and part of the reason for the extension is that the provisions in the peace agreement are not yet fully implemented, both the political and the normalization. Is that correct, Mr. Speaker?
That is correct, but more particularly with the normalization.
Thank you, Mr.
Because the normalization is a caveat for the political participation of the
Then I go back to another question. I go to the next question. Is there assurance that it will already be completed in 2025 and that an exit agreement will be signed?
the implementation of the normalization will be triggered by government. If you will note, the normalization plan could not be established by the MILF. Normalization was already approved by the President. I recall you and I were there when Secretary Galvez presented the normalization plan to the President. But I have not seen any of the implementation of the normalization plan, including the organization of the normalization trust fund. So
Thank you, Mr.
perhaps if the normalization trust fund can be shaped up, and perhaps can also help in the fast tracking of the formulation of the rehabilitation program under Section 1, Article 14, we might be able to accomplish the rehabilitation plan as a basis for sorting out for this extension.
Mr. Speaker, my next question is, do you have any personal information or any official or personal information whether a normalization trust fund from government, because I was the former chairman of the implementing panel before I joined the BTA. And would you know if it has been started, or was there any budget released for the purpose, especially from the national government? Because in the joint panel discussion, we wanted the national government to fund the Bangsamoro Transitional Trust Fund. Are you in a position to inform us that that fund has been organized, and was there any release from the Bangsamoro Normalization Trust Fund?
I have no personal knowledge, but I have read the transcript of the interview of our Chief Minister. And I will believe in what the Chief Minister is saying, that many of our port soldiers have not been compensated and even have not been rehabilitated. And if the normalization plan is availing, I don't believe the MILF normalize its field commanders and its communities if plan is available and already released. So the assumption is, if we want to fast track the normalization, we should be able to see that government has put forward the necessary funds for the rehabilitation of this community.
In other words, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Speaker, you are saying that the wherewithals for the normalization efforts should be fully released and should be fully supported. Am I correct, Mr. Speaker?
You are correct. And I know if you are only in the implementing panel of government, we would have fought for the immediate release of the funds for the normalization. And even for the release of the special development fund, so that there is already a source of fund where we can come out a program or formulate a program for implementation for rehabilitation under Section 1 of Article 14 of the Republic Act 11054.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for that compliment. And if I don't get reappointed in the BTA during the extension, I am more than willing to go back to my former job if still acceptable.
In fact, I am thinking of not asking for a reappointment because I am thinking to go to Congress and articulate the position that I am articulating now.
You have my full support, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we very well know that we are here in the BTA courtesy of appointments by the appointment of the President. Will you agree with me, Mr. Speaker, that not all of us, if ever we get an extension from Congress and the President, it does not follow that all of us will be reappointed as members of the BTA.
That's correct, because what is provided for in the law is that the President will appoint. I remember when there was this call from Jenny Ong when we started going to Malacanang, there was a question raised whether the appointment is a term appointment or a regular appointment from the President. And what comes out was a regular appointment without a term. If my understanding of the law is correct, then a term appointment, the power of appointment can also include the power to withdraw appointment. So, but that is still the prerogative of the president.
Of course, that is an executive prerogative. Mr. Speaker, I've read somewhere that the basis for the request for the extension was partly based on the assessment of an NGO called the Mindanao People's Caucus. Is there no need for a real assessment, an official assessment to be conducted by the BARM that will put to that will give a real picture and update on the status of the BARM government, the different ministries, and the BTA Parliament on where we are, what have we done, and what are the things still to be done, so that there will be a strong basis for an extension. Will you agree with me that we conduct an official assessment to be conducted by the BTA, by the government of the BARM, Mr. Speaker?
Well, I would say this way. I did not pass this resolution on the basis of the review of the civil society movement, but as head of the government of the transition. And where he is also staffed with cabinet, and he is also a member of the parliament. I stand by our chief minister. When he declared in the normalization, there are much to be sought of. Based on that declaration in a public pronouncement, because this was aired on TV with Christian Isguera, I take the word of the chief minister as chairman of the MILF that many MILF communities have not been rehabilitated under the normalization program. And I do not believe the chief minister will state that if it is not true, because he is not only the chairman of the MILF, but he is a public figure, an appointee of the president, like all of us. And therefore, I accepted that basis and used that as my premise for the passage of this resolution to extend the term of the transition. Remember the wording of the resolution? To extend the transition period.
Mr. Speaker, without any malice and without really imputing any malicious intent, and without the slightest intention to degrade the office of the chief minister and the chief minister himself, whom I hold in very high esteem and has my full support on this. I just wish that there could have been some real assessment, not based on, not partly based, because that is my perception. I may be wrong, but this came out after the coming out of the report of the Mindanao People's Caucus, which I was able to participate. So anyway, Mr. Speaker, I thank the gentleman from for giving me some very sound explanation, and I wish to express my full support to this resolution, and if allowed, be made co-author. But I will repeat this with all due respect, that I don't have any intention, the slightest intention, to defame or impute malicious motive on the move of the chief minister to ask for the extension of the transition period, not even mentioning the extension of the parliament government. So I don't know if it carries with it the extension of the parliament, but the extension of the transition period, maybe it carries with it, or maybe it may not carry with it. So thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We would gladly welcome the manifestation of our good brother to join this resolution. And I would just like...
And I take your counsel seriously, that if ever given the opportunity to serve again in different capacity, to further the peace process, and if I deem it that I can honestly do things to move it faster forward and get all the necessary budget to move the normalization forward, I will gladly do it, Mr. Speaker, even if I still want to be with you in the BTA. So thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for the very intelligent answers that you have provided, and it cleared the cobwebs of my mind. And you have convinced me to support this resolution. I so move for the approval of this resolution. I join
Thank you.
you in the
Thank
motion
you,
to approve.
brother. And I know you will not abandon the peace process. And I think as the chairman of the panel, you have fought for the implementation of the normalization program. And I think because it has not yet been implemented to this day, it is still our obligation to articulate what we know about the peace process and about the normalization. And I would support the move of my brother to approve this resolution without further ado. I hope Mr. Chairman.
Yes, we will act on the motion of the gentleman Sulu, but MP Omar Sema was already recognized before the motion was moved. MP Sema, perhaps MP Sema will be the last
Yeah,
one to
very,
interpolate.
very
MP
brief.
Sema, you're recognized.
Very brief, Mr. Speaker. It was raised by MP Nabil Tan with respect to why choose 2025 as the the extension peg until 2025 because of the synchronization. Now, in this resolution, it merely calls for an extension of the transition period. So, are you saying, Mr. Speaker, that the transition period may be continued on after elections on 2022? It could be possible.
Yes, you're right. Because if there is that extension, because the law provides the end of the transition would be after the election of the officers of the regular parliament.
So you're
if there
saying
is none, then we continue.
So you are saying if we call for an extension, there will be a postponement of the elections.
Definitely, there will be a postponement of elections.
I want to be clear on that because the title is very vague. It merely calls for an extension of the transition period, and there are lots of interpretation into the extension of transition period. It happened in the time of Professor Miswari that the transition period even began after he was elected into office.
You are right. Chairman Miswari was extended for 2 more years.
Yes. Now, Mr. Speaker, in your assessment, are we ready for elections in 2022?
With the kind of registration we have, with the discussion floating not only in Congress but even in the Commission on Election, it would be very difficult to say that we are ready. Of course, the wherewithals for the conduct of election is not yet there. The COMELEC has not even come out with the organization of the electoral.
Do you think the region is ready? Our people is ready
And I think our people is not ready because
I think that should be reflected in this resolution.
The normalization, we will reflect that.
It should be reflected in this resolution.
Well, we are not ready first because of the pandemic. Second, because the rehabilitation program has not been started, and the normalization of our brothers.
Do you think our people are ready to accept the consequences of an election that is not well prepared?
Definitely. Well, whether people accept or not, but in conscience, I cannot accept.
How about the revolutionary fronts? Do you think they will be ready to accept the result of an election that is not well prepared?
I would not venture into the revolutionary fronts while I have been part of the movement.
I mean, the leaders of the transition government,
But
Do you think they will be ready to accept the result of a resolution that is not, the result of an election that is not well prepared?
I believe the front may not accept it and may not even sign the exit agreement.
I think that should be also reflected in this resolution.
We will do that subject to style, but if my brother.
That is not a matter to style. That is a substantive basis for an extension of the transition period.
We will treat your suggestion in the period of amendment, and we will accept that.
Yes.
And if in the writing, we will subject that to style as to where it will be located. Then, if there are no questions further, I would.
There are still two questions.
Okay.
Yeah. In the resolution, in the whereas clause about the consensus points of the MNLF, and then the normalization and rehabilitation clauses. I think, do you agree that this should be supported by evidence? This should be evidence.
Are you referring to the?
Your honors, please direct your question.
With respect to the
chair.
Can you reiterate? I miss your the resolution. Yeah, please.
In the whereas resolution, whereas clause referring to the consensus points between the MNLF and the GRP and the OIC, and then in the following clause also referring to the rehabilitation and development of Moro Islamic Liberation Front, Armed Forces, and the MNLF, BAF. That this, do you agree that this should be evidence-based? We cannot just allege without showing any evidence?
I don't believe that a full-blown evidence is necessary. We just look into the conditions of the MNLF project and even the MILF. Substantially, we can go, and if the gentleman wants to investigate as to the rehabilitation of MILF communities, I think we can ask from the implementing panels. And the MNLF, in fact,
yes, I will include that in my penultimate motion later, Mr.
Anyway,
Speaker.
there are amendments.
Two more questions. In the MPC rapid midterm report, have you read it that stated that the Bangsamoro Congress Parliament Philippine Congress Forum, it was stated there that the Bangsamoro Parliament Philippine Congress Forum was not yet organized. Have you read that portion?
As I stated in answer to MP Nabiltan, I did not base my resolution on the...
Because in that report, it stated that the Philippine Congress Bangsamoro Parliament Forum was not organized. That is wrong. The Speaker of the Parliament had already organized delegation of the Bangsamoro Parliament to that forum.
That is correct. But I said I did not even venture to look into the report.
That is very important.
I only ventured into the statement of the Chief Minister in that interview. So, if you
final question.
That content,
final question, Mr. Speaker.
Yes.
In another whereas clause, it states here that Article 16, Section 1 of the Bangsamoro Organic Law sets forth the transition period for the establishment of the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region, which comment upon its ratification on January 25, 2019. When was the date of the ratification? Was it on the day of the plebiscite or on the date that it was declared as ratified?
On the date of the plebiscite.
So this is wrong.
Well,
this is wrong.
If they have been, I would like to clarify that it was not me who prepared this.
So this is wrong. I move to.
We will accept your correction on the date of the
yes,
plebiscite if they have been typographically done. But,
yes, Mr. Speaker, I will now end here. I have two motions here that including sustaining the motion of MP Nabiltan, that in the whereas clause referring to the consensus points of the tripartite review and the implementation of the 1996 final peace agreement, and the whereas clause referring to the rehabilitation and development of the Islamic Liberation Front and the MNLF communities should be supported by evidence before this resolution is submitted to Congress or the office of the President. Thank you, Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, I would just like to correct that. When we talk of the consensus points, the 42 consensus points is put in the law already, except the Jeddah communique, which takes 4 items.
Yes, but my point here, Mr. Speaker, I agree with you. My point here is it was raised in this resolution, therefore it should be evidence-based. It should be supported by evidence.
This is the evidence that I will be presenting. First, you know that the bidat has never been organized, and there is no need for a further investigation as to the existence of the bidat because there is no amount put in for the bidat. Second, the organization of the TIMC, which is the part of the last communique. I really don't know. There are MNF here. Are there organizations of TIMC? No. That's
Mr.
Third, yes. I think you are looking for the development side.
No, Mr. Speaker, my concern here is not really to object to this resolution.
Yes, but
my concern here is to strengthen this resolution.
Yes, I admit. But
it should not be merely a mere citation of a clear provision of law. It should be supported by evidence.
Yeah.
It should not appear that this is self-serving, that we are interested with what we are having right now. My point here is to strengthen this resolution because I agree there are really valid reasons for the extension of the transition period.
Yeah, we can put it there if the gentleman.
Yes,
we would like to
Mr. Speaker, that this resolution be approved subject to corrections.
Thank you.
Mr. Speaker.
For a while,
Mr. Speaker.
Yes, we will recognize the gentleman from Sulu after I ask the proponent. Would you still accept?
When I move for the approval of the resolution, Mr. Speaker, it became already the property of the chair. And therefore, you should be able to, it cannot be disregarded. And after MP Omar Sema shall have made the interpellation on the gentleman on the floor, maybe we can revert back because it has already been seconded.
Mr. Speaker.
Yes, I'm aware of that. MP Tan, thank you for that reminder. But there are two members who already submitted their names that they want to ask the proponent. That's why before I act on the motion, the standing motion raised earlier by MP Tan, I would also ask the main proponent if he's still willing to accept inquiries from 2 additional MPs, Member of the Parliament, MP Iqbal and MP Ali. If not, then
Mr. Speaker, Mr. Sultan.
Acting the resolution filed, raised by MP Tan and subsequently seconded by MP Omar Sema. Majority Leader?
Yes, Mr. Speaker, I recognize P. Sultan.
Majority Leader?
1 minute suspension.
1 minute.
Ayun na pa tayo naghintay. Mr. Speaker, majority Leader. Suspended muna tayo.
Okay ba sa'yo?
Okay. Sige, una na natin. Yes, MP, resume na lang. Resume.
Session resume. Majority Leader, what is your pleasure? What's the pleasure of the Majority Leader?
I recognize Speaker.
Yes, MP Rimbang.
MP Sultan Idrisa Rimbang. Correction. Thank you very much, Speaker of the Day, Majority Floor Leader, ng Attorney Lanang Junior, my colleague, Member of Parliament, staff, Secretariat. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. With due respect, my colleague, ito po yung istinabol natin, 11 o 54.
kailangan po natin to susiin o aralin mabuti. Ako po hindi ko mukontra sa istinabol o hindi rin po ako mag-utos na mag-istin tayo. Bagamat ay ang susundin natin yung nakalagay sa fuel. Una po, ang aking tanong, Mr. Speaker, at directly to Atty. Lorena, ikaw ba ang tumatayo na legal counsel ni Chief Minister o dito sa mga proponent na ito sa istinabol? Gusto ko sagutin mo ako.
I am neither a legal counsel of anyone. I am my own because I am appointed as member of the parliament. So I am standing here on my own basis and not on any instruction of anyone. Neither am I to be instructed by Sultan Rimbang. Well, he's a sultan. I will not accept that.
Thank you, Speaker Tony Lorena. Ang unang tanong ko po, pamunuan ngayon na parliament. Una po sa pag-file natin na istinabol. Tayo po member of parliament, 80 po tayo sa panguna na ating buting si Minister Rahod Balawag Ibrahim Murad. Nakapag-call ba tayo, nakapag-courtesy call ba tayo sa ating mahal, beloved President Rodrigo Roa Duterte dahil pagkakaalam ko sa 11:54 siya pa rin ay mag-appoint ulit kung sana makaistin tayo. Gusto ko rin sagutin mo yan.
Una,
napakagwapo kong kaibigan.
Thank you, MP, my friend, my brother. Una, I find it not necessary to have a courtesy call to the President at this time because of the resolution. Because what I am asking for in the resolution is not for my appointment, but the extension of the transition. Yan ang una. But to meet the President, it would just be very easy if I will go and ask for a courtesy to the President on my own for anything different from the extension. I will never go to the President and say I want to be extended as member of the Parliament. In fact, if the President wishes so, I am ready to get out of the Parliament because I am at the behest of the President as his appointee.
Actually, MP Lorena, Tony Lorena, naiintindihan ko member of parliament kasi sa pagkakaalam ko sa aking pag-aaral, study, wala pa naman parliamentary na 3 years. Ang palagi kong nakikita 6 years, 9 years. So kailangan kasi may mga rason yan. So pangalawa, sa akin tanong, with your respect si Chief Minister ba, bago natin kung sino nag-proponent diyan, kasi wag natin sabihin na kakayanin ng member of parliament, kailangan kasi yan ay nasa ground yan. What I mean, kailangan pa rin si Chief Minister, pulungin niya tayo kung ano yung maganda natin gawin diyan sa pag-file na istinabol. Pangalawa po, Mr. Speaker, sa ground ba, any Bangsamoro regarding sa mga gobernador, mayor o sa ground, wag natin pakinggan yung gobernador, mayor kasi sila, pagkakalam ko, hindi sila bubuto sa atin, pero ang pakinggan natin yung sa ground. Sila ba, nakakonsultasyon ba tayo sa kanila? Nakonsulta ba natin yung sa ground, yung mga kabangsamoro natin na tayo member of parliament, kailangan maka-extend o hindi tayo kailangan maka-extend? Yan lang ang pakisagot, Atty. MP Lorena.
Magandang katanong yun. Sa akin, kung gumawa ko ng resolution, yun ay aking pananaw. Sa tingin ko, hindi sa tingin ng iba.
Tingin lang yan, ha?
Sa tingin
Sige lang pinag-usapan natin, Atty. Lorena.
Sa tingin ko, kailangan i-extend ang transition. Kung mayroon ibang may papananaw, sila na ang magsalita noon. Sa akin, dahil nakasama ako sa pag-negotiate sa Power Sharing Committee at nakasama rin ako sa MNLF kasi ako ang chair ng Transition Review Committee at ako rin ang pumema ng communique sa Jeddah, sa tingin ko, maikli ang nabigay na panahon para sa transition. Sa tingin ko, hindi ko na kailangan konsultahin si Chief Minister. So sa pananaw ko as member of the Parliament, na kailangan bigyan ng pagkakataon para sa gayon ang lahat ng alituntunin at napag-usapan ay magampanan. Yun ang akin. Kung mayroon man ibang tao ang sabi, ayaw ko, pananaw niya yon. Pero ito pananaw ko as member of the parliament.
Okay, naiintindihan kita, Atty. Lorena, Impe Lorena. Bagkamat ito ay pinag-usapan natin dito sa istinabul na ito, ay kailangan legal. Dadaan sa processing na naka 1154, coordinate to national article government. So, kaya nga naitanong ko yon kung nakapag-protocol ba tayo sa ating mahal na Presidente Rodrigo Roa Duterte para alam niya. Kasi mahirap, baka ito, with due respect nung pala, sinanya siya Atty. Majority Floor Leader, sabi na Sultan, ayaan mo na magsalita yung mga kulig ka. Sinabi ko yon, sinabi ko na rin ito, kasi alam natin, ating mahal na Pangulong Rodrigo Roa Duterte, na mahirap po pangunahan yan. Siya po yung dahilan na kaya po naka-autonomy tayo, naipasa ang BOE.
Bakit
Nangyari?
nawala si MP?
Nawala po yung sound.
Nawala pati yung ano niya.
Pinatayan nila si Sultan Rimbang.
Bakit kaya pag si Sultan Rimbang nagsasalita, masyadong nawawala yung signal?
Powerful kasi ang boses niya. Nagkakaano yung power.
Sabi niya, Mr. Speaker, please recognize me.
Bakit ako mini-mute nitong host na to? Kayo hindi. I-unmute ko, i-mute ako.
Hindi, minumute din kami. Kaya lang kasi hindi
ba?
masyado kami nagsasalita.
Okay. Marami kasi ako sinasabi.
Wala na tayong marinig kay Sultan, no?
Nakikinig masyado si Chairman Iqbal, oh.
Narinig tayo.
Ng panel chair.
Narinig tayo.
that is the importance of the extension of the transition from up to 2025. And I beg to disagree with mga ibang observation na this is self-serving on our part because first of all, hindi naman natin alam to tomorrow, next day, or any other day in the future, wala na tayo. This is for our people. Alam naman natin na yung extension mahaba yan eh. Yung transition dapat mahaba. Ang original position ng MILF sa negotiation ay 7 years eh. Kaya lang, alam naman ninyo, yung sa negotiation, it's about giving and taking and giving. It's a compromise. Diba? So, ultimately, nung may pasa yung batas na Bangsamoro Organic Law ay nilagay sa Kongreso, sa bill, sa batas, 3 years lang po kasi dahil dapat ma-synchronize po ang election. Pero ang official na position po namin, nilagay namin sa original na BBL, kami magkakasama po kami kina MP Lorena, si MP Omar Sema at saka iba pa, 5 years po ang nilagay namin. So, pero ang nilagay sa batas ay 3 years lang po. So, wala tayong magawa. Pero 3 years is too short. You just imagine 17 long years of hard and harsh negotiation. Can we just implement what has been in the law for just 3 years? And then, aside from that, dalawang track kasi ito eh. There are 2 tracks. Yung peace process or normalization process track. And then meron tinatawag na legal track. Yung implementation po ng Bangsamoro Organic Law. And we have also to understand that yung Bangsamoro Organic Law is a legal implementation of the agreements of the Moro Islamic Liberation Front and that of the government. Of course, with very important inputs coming from the GRP-MNLF Final Peace Agreement of 1996. So, yung dalawang track na yan, importante yan. Saka, they will go hand in hand. So pag ang isa maputol, halimbawa, and then yung pangalawa, it will proceed, I think it will create a problem. So I just want to zero in on one point raised by my colleague in the peace process, as chair of the government peace implementing panel, si MP Nabiltan, tungkol doon sa Bangsamoro Normalization Trust Fund. Yung Bangsamoro Normalization Trust Fund as a very important component of normalization because it will fund doon sa mga hindi talaga napupunduhan ng gobyerno ng Pilipinas. Maraming bagay na dapat punduhan po na hindi napupunuhan po ng puno galing sa gobyerno ng Pilipinas. Hanggang ngayon po hindi pa rin yan na-operationalize. The simple reason for that is that the government side has never got yung special presidential authority. Hindi rin namin po alam kung bakit hanggang hindi makuha-kuha yung SPA, yung Special Presidential Authority. So ito po ay nagiging dahilan din kung bakit medyo mabagal ang implementasyon ng normalization process. At pag hindi ho tayo ma-extend, although I am not co-authoring yung resolution na, but I have to say here, with very clear conscience na I am supporting it, pero pag hindi ho tayo naka-extend, hilaw po ang implementation ng normalization process. Isipin ninyo, yung second phase ng decommissioning ng 12,000 MILF combatants, out of 1 billion na cost for the decommissioned combatants ng MILF, 100,000 lang po ang nagbibigay ng gobyerno. Although we understand yung hirap na dinadaanan nila gobyerno dahil sa COVID-19 ngayon, at shortage na pondo po. Pero we cannot just proceed with the other phase of decommissioning unless and until yung masatisfy po yung mga requirements tungkol doon sa second phase po ng decommissioning po. So hilaw po ang mangyayari diyan sa implementasyon po ng normalization process. Pangalawa, yung implementation po ng Bangsamoro Organic Law 11054 po, magiging hilaw din po. Napakarami pong mga opisina, hindi pa rin natin naipatayo. Of course, this is not a blaming game. Hindi natin biniblame ang gobyerno, neither we are blaming the MILF because we are already partners, not just in the implementation of the Bangsamoro Organic Law, but even in the implementation of the agreement between the government and the MILF. We are already partners. We are not counterparts. So, nagtutulungan po kami. So, pag hirap din tayo rito sa BARM, hirap din kami dito sa MILF, ganun din ang hirap ng gobyerno ng Pilipinas. Kaya, nararapat lang po. And itong resolution na ito ipasa po natin, not a self-serving exercise, but it is for our people. It's part of our assertion na kailangan talaga, kung anong naumpisahan po natin, dapat po matapos natin ng mabuti. Kasi pag hilaw ang resulta, I don't know kung ano ba talaga magyari sa atin. So yun lang po, Mr. Speaker. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak briefly on the issue at hand. Maraming salamat po.
MP Romeo Saliga for and to be followed by MP Eddie Ali.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Majority Floor Leader. I only have 2 points actually of clarification. Yung una, pasensya lang dahil hindi naman ako lawyer. Ang pagkakalam ko sa isang batas, mayroong certain period bago mo ma-repeal or amend. Is it, kung titingnan ko naman yung BOL natin, silent doon sa amendments provision ng Section 1 sa Article 17. Tama ho ba ako?
Tama. Under Article 17, Section 1, yun ang amendments.
So ibig sabihin, kasi ang concern ko lang, katulad nung nabanggit kanina, is yung legality nung gagawin natin. So kung if it is legal, so wala hong problema. Kung wala ho siyang na babiolate na yung batas natin mismo. Yung pangalawang concern, Mr. Speaker, actually, katulad nung binanggit kanina ng ating proponent, dapat yung batas manggagaling sa mga tao. I see in this resolution, mukhang yung LMP ng Tawi-Tawi, mayroong resolution. Yung provincial government ng Maguindanao may resolutions. Pero ang isang basihan din ng resolution natin is yung midterm review ng MPC. Ang tanong ko, wala ho bang any position statement galing mismo sa mga tao natin sa ground? Common Bangsamoro or CSO na nagumihingi na kailangan natin ng ganito. Kasi baka naman tayo lang yung nag-iisip na kailangan ma-extend, pero yung tao sa ground, ito naman yung kanilang position. Kailangan kasi mag-correlate o mag-complement yung gusto ng tao sa ground at saka yung gusto din natin dito sa taas. Meron ba tayong natanggap na resolutions or position statement or any documents from Bangsamoro CSO or ano from the ground?
Ang pagkaalam ko, mayroon mga resolution ng probinsya. So, ang probinsya, ang representative ng mga tao ng probinsya. Sa totoo lang, nakausap ko rin yung Tawi-Tawi. Meron ng resolution ang MP from Tawi-Tawi. Ang province government yata nag-ano rin ng resolution. So, hindi ko alam kung mga CSO may resolution. Pero mayroon din yan. Hindi ko lang alam kung ano. But, just to have sa resolution ng talagang mayroon. Pangalawa, ang hinihingi ng atin nito resolution, humihingi tayo extend, yung sa sauna mo sagot, ang nakalagay, ang mag-amend ang Congress. So, tama din, kaya tayo hindi nag-amend ng batas dahil di natin kayang amend. Dapat iparating natin sa kanila na yun ang palagay natin. So, pag-aaralan din yan ng Kongreso. At iba siya ng mga presidente. So, sa tingin ko, mayroon sila.
Okay, manifestation ito, Mr. Speaker. Unang-una, iba kasi yung nangyayari sa ground, lalo na sa IP communities during this transition period. Kaya, halimbawa, kung ma-extend man, ito sana'y gusto nating ma-address na hindi mangyari para talaga magkaroon tayo ng ground support, no? Halimbawa, yung nangyayari sa IP communities, iba ho, Mr. MP Joe, dahil yung patayan, yung agawan ng lupa, yung mga katutubo. So, ito ho yung tumatatak sa isipan ng mga tao. Kaya nga, kung extension kaagad yung sasabihin natin, baka it will just prolong the agony and sufferings of the non-Moro indigenous people sa ground. At kung mangyari man itong extension na sinasabi natin, sana ma-address din ho natin ito. Para once and for all, itong transition will be inclusive at saka lahat talaga makinabang.
Tama yun. Kaya nga ako na ano din sa transition. Kasi meron tayong sa Annex on Transitional Justice na hindi pa nagagawa. Yung agreement na magkaroon ng executive order to organize the Transitional Justice Committee para sa Bangsamoro at sa IP, hindi pa nagawa ng national government. Pangalawa, kung ano man ang sentimento ng ating mga kapatid na IP, kampante ako dahil meron akong kasama, hindi lang sa BTC at ngayon, na taga doon. Gaya ni MP Saliga at saka ni MP Ulama. So sa tingin ko, kayo rin ang makapagsabi kung ano ang pakiramdam at makausap ninyo ang inyong mga katutubo. So ako, kung kailangan ng tulong namin, willing naman kami pupunta. Para ganon. So, yun lang ano ko doon, ang point. Unang-una, tayo naman nagkaroon na ng Ministry of Indigenous People. So, malamang siguro, pwede din sila makatulong dito sa mga consultation. Ako itong natitingin ko. Kung sa lugar ko yon, siguro tatanungin ko na yung mga tao para at least malaman din natin kung ano ang pakiramdam.
Yes, anyway, Mr. Speaker, actually yung position ko talaga ito, no X eh. Dahil gusto natin dapat tuloy-tuloy yung kung ano may binigay sa atin, we'll implement it as it is. Pero katulad nung binanggit ko, kung if it is the will of the people and the will of the majority, and it is allowed by law, so be it, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Thank you. Salamat.
Thank you.
Yes, the last. Yes, we proceed to the motion of appeal. I think there is a standing motion, Mr. Speaker.
There was an earlier motion, standing
Yes.
motion by MP Tan.
Mr. Speaker.
Yes,
Mr.
MP
Speaker,
Emerson.
I have also a motion there that those two clauses should be supported by evidence, meaning the evidence should be annexed in the resolution.
Yeah, would that
Yes,
motion
to state
MP
the
Omar?
motion.
Yes, would that motion constitute amending the resolution?
It's not
Correction.
an amendment, Mr. Speaker. It merely asks for an annex of the to the resolution.
Anyway, it was accepted by the proponent. So yes, motion.
Yes.
To first
A motion to approve, subject to that attachment.
Mr. Speaker, I
Yes.
forgot. There was a correction
Yeah,
there
subject
also
correction.
from January 25, January 21.
Yes.
So we first
Take the
closed the
plebiscite.
period of appellation. There was a motion to approve adopt resolution number 332, subject to the motions moved by MP Omar Sema. Is there any objection? Hearing none.
And
PR
Mr. Speaker, Mr.
Yes,
Speaker,
Tan. Yes, MP Tan. Before we act.
I think I was also accepted. My offer to co-author was also accepted. So, by
Any members of like to signify their interest as co-author, this be made.
So be it on record, Mr.
General.
Speaker. No more.
The record.
Yes, for the record, MP Tan already signified his intent to be co-author.
Mr.
of
Speaker.
Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, because of my twin
Mr.
motions,
Speaker.
I would like my name to be written as an author, Mr. Speaker.
So there's a from MP Omar Sema, his intent to be part of the PR 332 as author of this resolution, and there are also other MPs who wish to be part of this resolution. Maybe we would ask the Secretary General to list the names of those MPs who are willing to support this by signifying the intention to be either author or co-author. MP Tan has already been has already been considered as an author, as well as MP Omar Sema and the other members who are present. Perhaps those who are present be co-author. Is the proponent acceptable, willing
Yes.
to accept? Okay. Secretary General, please take note of those names. So there's a motion to adopt PR 332. Is there any objection? Hearing none, proposed resolution number 332 is hereby adopted. Majority Leader.
Yes, we proceed to the last item in the order of business. We are on proposed resolution number 328 and proposed resolution number 330. This is in relation to the statement of the AFP regarding the madrasa as the area of radicalization of the Moro. May we respectfully recognize MP Paisalin Tago as the authors of this proposed resolution.
MP Tago is recognized.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. This is in relation with a statement of our Chief of Staff of the Armed Forces of the Philippines regarding the Madaris institution. In view of that, Mr. Speaker, to summarize the matter, the resolution is self-explanatory, Mr. Speaker. It speaks for itself. And because of that, Mr. Speaker, there are so many pronouncements made by several quarters in the Bangsamoro people expressing their apprehension regarding the statement of our Chief of Staff. In view of that, Mr. Speaker, I am seeking the support of all the members of the PT Parliament to express our sentiment also regarding the statement of Chief of Staff Gapay. Although Staff Gapay later on corrected this statement, but we should pursue this resolution to serve as reference by any future chief of staff or highest ranking officials of the national government that such statement is not acceptable to the Bangsamoro people. And that, Mr. Speaker, I am seeking again the support of my colleagues in this august body to support the early passage of this proposed consolidated resolution so that it can be passed to the proper office in the national government. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, MP Tago, Majority Leader.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, considering that there is two resolutions of this matter, I move the two resolutions be consolidated and be
so this is
put
prior
into one resolution.
So this is prior to the opening of the period of amendment.
Yes,
so okay, prior to the opening of the period of amendment, there's a motion to consolidate PR number 328 and PR number other one
330.
What's the assigned number?
330.
330. To be consolidated. Is there any objection to that motion? Hearing none, the motion is approved. Majority Leader?
Yes, Mr. Speaker.
A short
We respectfully recognize one of the authors of the two resolutions, Mr. Speaker, MP Abdul Mumin Mujahid, Mr. Speaker.
Okay, MP Mujahid, as the author of the other resolution, now being consolidated, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Mr. Majority Floor Leader. As stated in the resolution, Mr. Speaker, the very aim of this resolution in asking the good general to retract his statement regarding madrasas being tagged as source of radicalization is to ease the hearts of the Bangsamoro people, in particularly our ulama, our ustadjes, kung baga na branded na naman sila as a terrorist or as a source of terrorists. So this is a very, the statement of the good general, Mr. Speaker, has a very big impact to our madrasas. And alam niyo po ba, yung 2017, nagkaroon po tayo ng dalawang summits. yung first summit po natin, which was sponsored by Regional Darul Ifta of ARMM, of the ARMM. Ang first summit po, na-conduct po natin dyan po mismo sa SKCC, way back sa May 2017, about 400 participants of ulama, the mudara or the principals of all madrasas, and they came up with a statement or declaration condemning the so-called this violent extremism. So you can just imagine this ulama and the muftis. They were coming together and issuing this statement to condemn any form of terrorist act in our region in our country. And then another summit also, Ulama Summit conducted in Basulta area, which was in some Basulta area. This summit was conducted in Zamboanga City, which the Honorable Secretary Lorenzana were in attendance, and as well as then Chief of Staff of the Armed Forces, the current Secretary of OPAPS, the Secretary Galvez, was also in attendance, in about 10 generals were also in attendance during that time. Yung sa summit na to, nagkaroon din po ang mga ulama natin, mga religious leaders natin sa Sambasulta area, the same statement condemning terrorist act, condemning all form of violent extremism. So ito nga bakit kung halimbawa na parang tinotolerate po natin ang statement ng isang general po natin, which is the Chief of Staff of the Armed Forces, parang naging ano po ito sa ating mga religious sector po. So no less than the Secretary of Defense, Secretary Lorenzana and Secretary Galvez were in attendance during that time, and there were the witness of the statement being issued by our religious leaders from Mindanao, and not only Mindanao, nationwide, because even from Manila, from Palawan, from Baguio, there were a representative of the ulama from that areas in Iloilo and Cebu, and as well as in the Sambasulta area. So that's why, hence this resolution, Mr. Speaker, and I'm hoping for the approval of this resolution and subject, of course, for the amendment if ever there is an amendment, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker.
Who is that?
Mr.
MP?
Speaker. MP Candao.
Ay, Maleha
Yes,
Candao.
MP Candao.
Yeah, can I have the floor, please?
Yes, you may proceed.
Thank you. Yeah, looking at this issue from a calmer perspective, we know that this issue details to us the communication gap between the Chief of Staff of the Armed Forces of the Philippines, Gilbert Gap, and the community includes our and the Bangsamoro people who are being led by our BARM leaders. And of course, this issue of communication gap roots from the differences of perspective, perhaps due to the difference of opinions or information gathered by the military. Therefore, there is a need to sit down with General Gapay, with our Islamic leaders in the BARM, so that we can solve this communication gap. What for? To compare notes and to correct assumptions leading to a unified understanding on the role of the Madaris education in Islam. The BARM leaders and our military authorities need to break the communication gap because we are running a government rooted from peace and the very reason why it exists. I need to sound this off because we are not trying to wage a war against the AFP because of the statement of Lieutenant General Gapay, but we would like to establish a corrective approach, a more peaceful so that this to be Thank you. That's all. Thank
Thank
you.
you very much, MP Kandao. May we respectfully recognize
Mr.
MP
Speaker.
Omar Sema.
Yes, Speaker.
For a while, Majority Leader, are we now on the period of debate and interpellation?
Not yet, Mr. Speaker. We are on the on that
Mr.
matter.
Speaker,
MP,
Mr.
MP Omar.
that is my motion to open the
Exactly.
period of debate and interpellation. And upon inquiry on this side of the plenary, none is offering any question. Therefore, I will now move for
Then,
the
for the last,
termination of the debate, Mr. Speaker.
So we would
Then
dispense
we
with
will
the
first recognize MP.
yes,
Mr.
Majority
Speaker.
Leader.
Mr. Speaker.
MP Bara. MP Bara.
Yes, for a while. If the Majority Leader wishes to acknowledge and
Yes.
recognize members, we should at least open the
Yes,
period of
yes,
debate
yes, yes.
interpellation so that we can also give way for the proponents to respond if there are questions.
Yes, Mr. Speaker.
So we open first the period of
Yes,
debate and
Mr. Speaker.
interpellation, since MP Bara is signifying his intent to either raise a point or make
Yes,
a
Mr.
manifestation. The period of debate and interpellation is hereby open.
Yes,
MP
may
Bara,
we
you
respectfully
recognize.
MP Bara.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Majority Leader. I am convinced by the statement of MP Abdul Muhmin Mujahid on the role of the ulama for the attainment of peace in our country. After the Marawi siege, the ulama of Lanao organized two conferences, one in Iligan and another in Cagayan de Oro City, with the support of the provincial government of Lanao del Sur. And this is headed by the Ulama League of the Philippines, a group that has been engaged in dialogue with the bishops, Christian bishops, both of the Catholic and the Protestant churches. And in this dialogue that in these conferences that we conducted in Iligan and in Cagayan de Oro City, General Galvez was present. In Cagayan de Oro City, even Secretary Lorenza was present. And in these conferences, we emphasize to the government that the first and foremost victim of the Marawi siege is Islam itself because of misinterpretation, misrepresentation. And so therefore, the institution that really defines what Islam is as a religion of peace is the madrasa. We are product of the madrasa. Are we terrorists? So we emphasize to them that the thousands of ulama who are teaching Islam in the Philippines, yes, there must have been one or two ulama who joined the terrorists, but it doesn't mean that the thousands are also speaking for the same message as these people are doing. They do not even reach 0.01% of the total Muslims of the world, nor of the Philippines. So in view of this is one way where we can ask the government to understand the status of the ulama, and the statement of General Gapay should be taken as an important message to us that there is need really to inform the government that Islam is a religion of peace. And I would suggest to the authors of these resolutions to include as part of our resolution in calling the armed forces of the Philippines for this statement of Gapay, that there is a need for the members of the armed forces of the Philippines to be taught about Islam as a religion of peace, and the ulama are ready to help them understand what peace is. I was invited several times through the invitations of or through the work of Secretary Galvez with NECA and with Camp Krami to discuss about Islam. And so therefore, I would suggest to the authors, manifest to the authors, that part of the resolution will be seeking the armed forces of the Philippines to invite among their men about the knowledge of Islam as a religion of peace, and the ulama are ready to teach them about peace. Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker.
That's only a manifestation, Mr. Speaker. So therefore, I move to close the period of debate and interpellation, Mr. Speaker.
Period of debate and interpellation is hereby closed.
I move to approve the consolidated resolution, Mr. Speaker, subject to style.
The motion to
Mr.
approve.
Speaker.
Yes, MP.
I move to before the majority floor leader moves to approve, I think dadaan muna tayo sa period of amendment.
Yes.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, my motion would be to tone down the language of the resolution. As stated earlier by MP Iqbal, we are now the MILF, the other groups are already partners with the government. Yes, sound like a partnership. So I believe that this should be, that is just my suggestion, and it would be up to the majority floor leader and the secretariat to rewrite the resolution, reword the resolution that would, to fine-tune the resolution. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you for that manifestation. We
Yes,
will
Mr.
take
Speaker.
that into a serious advisement.
Yes,
Anyway,
Mr.
this is a
Speaker.
consolidated resolution,
Yeah.
so definitely it would necessitate amending and toning down the language of this resolution.
Yes,
Yes,
Mr. Speaker.
thank you, MPA.
There being no
Sema.
other proposal,
a
Mr.
motion.
Speaker, I move to approve the consolidated resolution subject to style, Mr. Speaker.
There's a motion to approve the consolidated resolution subject to style.
Second.
Is approved.
Yes.
Majority Leader.
There being no other issue on the agenda of order of business, Mr. Speaker, I move to adjourn this session, Mr. Speaker.
Session is adjourned until tomorrow, November 18 at 1
Yes, Mr. Speaker.
at 1 p.m.
Yes, there will be a memorandum to be issued by the Speaker anytime.
So until further notice. Motion session is adjourned until further notice.
Yes, until further notice, Mr.
Until further notice.
Syukran. Assalamualaikum.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi.
So